بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today inshallah is the last talk of the series in the life of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, and also the last talk before the semester ends, I guess. Inshallah we'll be back next semester. I'm not sure if we'll be able to wait in the summertime. That will be up to Mr. President here, right? Anyways, so last week we were talking about the last Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, how he appointed Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu before, while he was on his final illness. He got sick and he realized that maybe his final sickness, and hence he asked the Sahaba to pick a leader for themselves while he was alive. He wanted to give up his office and ask somebody else to be appointed as the one, as a successor of him. And when the Sahaba they tried to choose one among themselves, this is the way Sahaba used to look at each other, that one would pick somebody and then he would say, no, he's not better, somebody else is better than him. And that was going in circle to the point that they were not able to pick anybody. And that's a distinction that you see. A person who is aware of the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, he is not looking for responsibilities because he understands that he's accountable for whatever task that he's doing now. Right? Now, to be the Khalifa, you're talking about all the subjects under you are the one you are accountable for. You're responsible for the well-being of them, taking care of them. Hence, Sahaba understood that well, but that did not mean that they would just leave the office like this and nobody is going to take care of the affairs of the Ummah either. But they were not the one who were looking for this position, that they really wanted to have it. Unlike today's time, where the ones who are running for different kinds of offices, the main purpose of them is to get power and get rich, or whatever benefits that they can get out of whatever position they have achieved, right? Now, the Islam makes a huge difference, and the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was the one that put the Sahaba in that situation that they did not want to take the position, and then they asked Abu Bakr to go ahead and choose one or appoint one for their behalf. And Abu Bakr, he nominated Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu as the next Khalifa, successor of Abu Bakr, but of course, still the power or authority belonged to the Ummah, and they had to give the bay'ah to Umar. So it's not like Abu Bakr can go ahead and choose a Khalifa and this is it. Or it's the Ummah that had to transfer the power, and this is what we see in the case of Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. So bay'ah is the method for choosing a Khalifa. You find limited differences of how the bay'ah was taken. In the time of Abu Bakr was a little bit different than the time of Umar, and then after Umar passed away, it was different. There were 6 people, among them the Sahaba were choosing a Khalifa among the 6. So, but at the end, the method is same, which is the bay'ah. The pledge of allegiance was given, and which is the transfer of power. Yeah. Okay. And we talked about how Abu Bakr was consulting the Sahaba about Umar's nomination, and most of the Sahaba they told Abu Bakr that you know better about Umar than us, and in general they were all pleased with Umar's nomination, except Talha ibn Ubaydullah is the one who told Abu Bakr that how can you leave, what are you going to answer Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment that you left a person like Umar as a caretaker? He was referring to the toughness and the firmness or harshness of Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, and Abu Bakr's response was that he would respond to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment that he picked the best among them. And this is what the rest of Sahaba also agreed on. And in general, Sahaba they gave unanimously the bay'ah to Umar al-Khattab, and he was given the pledge of allegiance, and he became the Khalifa. So these are the few things that we talked about last week. Today we'll talk about the final days of his life. As I said, that was about his life as a Khalifa, and now he's talking about, Abu Bakr was talking about, we will talk about today about Abu Bakr's life as individual. What did he do about the time that he was about to pass away? So we'll talk about the final days of his life, Umar's response to Abu Bakr's request that he made, and we'll talk about that. And Abu Bakr, about the stipend from the treasury that he was taking throughout time and the last day, and then we'll talk about the last command of Abu Bakr. We'll see if the time permits, we'll talk about Ali's address at the death of Abu Bakr. It's kind of a long. Even if I don't, I would like you guys to, if you want to take a snapshot, I'll just put it, I'll go through the slides, so you will have the slides uploaded, and you will be able to at least read it through it. Okay. It depends on the time. I think we might be able to read it because it's a little long. Okay. When it comes to the final days of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he got sick on the 13th year after Hijrah, and it was the month of Jumad al-Akhirah. And he got sick because he took a shower one of the cold days, and he got fever, and then that fever lasted for about 15 days. And this illness, Abu Bakr realized that this illness is not the one he's going to recover from. Sometimes you have an idea that the way the health is deteriorating. So, of course, Allah knows the best, who will live how long, but that was Abu Bakr's own understanding. And then when he got sick, during those 15 days, he did not come out to pray. Meaning, of course, he's doing his individual prayers, but he assigned Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu to lead the prayer. Don't forget that about Umar we're talking about, he's the one, he was also nominated as the Khalifa as well. And this is one of the things that you see, one of the signs that some of the fuqaha, they look at it when Abu Bakr is the one who was leading the prayers in this illness of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they refer that, okay, that's a sign. Not still the bay'ah is needed for Abu Bakr also become a Khalifa, but he was leading. And this is one of the jobs that the Khalifa does. Not like today's some of our rulers that we find that in position. I remember in Pakistani, it was part of the Senate or Parliament, a person cannot recite Surah Al-Ikhlas. And he tried 3-4 times, and he made mistakes again and again. And not only that, he's so silly that instead of accepting his mistake or something and go and make sure you get it right next time, he said, oh no, somebody wrote it wrong for me, that's what I was reading from. So I'm talking about that he should not recite that. That shows that, okay, these are the kind of people sometimes we have who are ruling, and what can you expect from personalities like that. And I'm not talking about somebody, for example, who just became a Muslim, and alhamdulillah, of course, he's learning. No, you're talking about these are people born Muslims, grew up in the Muslim land, which is 97-98% of people are Muslim. Everything around is done according to the Islam. Well, people individually, they try to do all those things according to Islam. Okay, anyways, so Khulafa, they were not only political leaders, they were leaders in every sense. Hence, they were leading the prayers as well, especially the major prayers, also the Jum'ah, the Eid, or when you talk about leading the Hajj even. Either they will lead the Hajj and they will deliver the khutbah or the Arafah, or they will assign a person who will do it on their behalf. Like in the time of Rasulullah, the first Hajj that was performed, when Abu Bakr is the one who led the Hajj in the 9th year after the Hijrah, and then Rasulullah followed in the following year. Okay, and at this time, Uthman bin Affan was very close to Abu Bakr Siddiq, even though all the Sahaba were visiting Abu Bakr, and we know that there's a ajr, and this is for us to understand also. When somebody gets sick, this is part of our deen that we do the i'adah, we visit the sick among us. Of course, there are adab for this. The way you do it, you don't go and spend hours and hours with a sick person and make him more sick. It's a visit to you make dua for him or her, and they can make dua for you as well. Yeah. Okay. Uthman was the closest one during him at this time. In Aisha radiallahu anha, she mentions about this final stage of illness of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anha. Look what he did. He said, go and see how much extra wealth I have acquired since I became the Khalifa. Okay? Now, obviously that includes a wealth that if there's a spoils of wars are coming, or there's some other kind of money that's coming into the stipend to him. So he asked, okay, go find out, I had a certain amount of money before I became the Khalifa, now I am at the deathbed. How much extra do I have now? Okay. So they found out there was a servant he had, and there was a camp, the extra he had, right? And he said, okay, take both the things to Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu and deposit that back into the treasury. So he wanted to make sure that there is nothing he has gained out of this power position that he had. So even though we know that in general people, the way they live, they are able to raise their standard of living, and they gain wealth over the time. But Abu Bakr was so keen that he wanted to make sure that he did not take anything from the wealth that belonged to them. Okay. Not only that, we will see that to Umar radiallahu anhu, his response when he saw that those two things were brought back, he started crying. He started crying so much that he literally made a small stream on the ground from the tears that Umar was, that they were coming from Umar. And he said, may Allah have mercy on Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Ever since Rasulullah died, he has worked himself to the point of exhaustion. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. Ever since the Prophet died, he has worked himself to the point of exhaustion. And may Allah, he repeated that, and ever since Prophet died, he has worked himself to the point of exhaustion. He continuously repeated what he was thinking of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. See, this can only happen if a person, you really have the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He understands the accountability factor of it. That what you are doing, you are accountable in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what you see in the lives of Sahaba. And we are at the end of, we're talking about life of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. Let's get this idea in our head, installed that we are all accountable in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. No matter what position we have. It could be very small positions, even things like when you are leading MSAs, for example. You could be part of the shura, or this or that. Or you could be just a caretaker of your own family. You could be just married, husband and wife. So whatever responsibilities we have to think of this way, that we are accountable in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even though the people for whom you are fulfilling the responsibilities, they don't fulfill the responsibilities that they are supposed to. That does not make us the ones who will, in response, do the wrong things. See, even if somebody is not fulfilling their own responsibilities, it does not entitle us to do the wrong. Okay, we have to continue to do the right thing Allah has ordained, and that's what we see among them. Okay. Now, it's not only he looked at his wealth from the perspective of if it has gained or not. Abu Bakr was to the point, and that when I was putting the slide together, the only thing that came to my mind was this verse from Surah Al-Shu'ara, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and different prophets have repeatedly repeated this verse, these words, that says, وَمَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ مِنْ أَجْرٍ. That we don't ask you for anything in return or reward. إِنْ أَجْرِيَ إِلَّا عَلَى رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Our ajr, our reward is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is, we see the action of Abu Bakr, that what did he do? So one of the reports talk about that when he was dying, so he said, verily Umar is the one who forced me to take the 6,000 dirham during the time period that he was a Khalifa. The stipend that he was taking. And we talked about in the beginning of our talk about Abu Bakr's life, that when he became the Khalifa, he went to work. He went to one market to do his business. And Umar is the one who stopped him. What are you doing? You're supposed to be taking care of the affairs of the people. You cannot be sitting in the market and do buying and selling while people are waiting for you. So Abu Bakr said, I still have a family, I have to take care of them. So then he said, okay, fine. We will give you a stipend from the Baytul Mal, from the treasury. So Abu Bakr was one of the wealthiest people, but at the same time, he had to take care of his family, and he said, okay, fine. And they agreed on a certain amount that they would be giving. And this is what he's referring to, that he said, Umar forced me to take this money. And then he said, in return for that amount, take my garden, which is situated in such a position. He said, go there, this garden belongs to you. Look, first he already took out the wealth that was a surplus, more than what he started with. So now whatever left was, he already had the wealth. Now he wants to pay back whatever money that he took from treasury that he spent on him and on his family. He said, "Wait, there's a garden there. Go sell that garden and pay everything back." And that was Abu Bakr's, after Abu Bakr died, his last request that his garden should be donated to the Muslim treasury was mentioned to Umar, who then said, "May Allah have mercy on Abu Bakr." Verily, he did not want to give people any opportunity to say anything about him. Meaning, when people have a position of power, that it's a common thing to the point that people think it's a norm. A politician will go and steal the wealth of the people. It's considered as a norm, unfortunately. And you consider a politician as a good one who has stolen less than the others. Unfortunately, this is the kind of a world that we are living in today. While look at the life of Abu Bakr Siddiq. The money that he was entitled to is not that he stole or anything, that he usurped the wealth of the Ummah or anything. This is, he was entitled, agreed by everybody, and there is nothing wrong for him to keep it. But Abu Bakr, he wanted to make sure that whatever he did for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he does not want anything in return for that. Yeah? I mean, we're talking about a person who's taking care of the affairs of the world. Today we got to the point, and this is a sad part, I feel sad for that sometimes. Some of the scholars, they would not speak unless you pay them. Unless you give them certain amount of money for the hour they're spending. And some of them even want to take the money for collecting the money, donations. They don't want to give their time for the collection of the money, for the building the masjid, or building a center, or building this or that. This is a very sad time. And okay, that does not mean it's haram again. There are certain times, of course, a person like Abu Bakr, he gave all his time for the cause. Now, if there's a scholar who has given all his time because he does not have time left for work, that's a separate issue. And then it's better to have, even then, he should not be doing the job like an employee that now he has to listen to the people who have employed him as a scholar or something, or imam. He's the one who should be guiding the people. His salary should not be guiding him to do what and not to do what. I hope I'm clear what I'm trying to say here. Look at the person like Abu Bakr Siddiq, how he is taking care of other people. And this is needed. These are the kind of things are needed again. When we want to carry the message of Islam to the world, it better be sincerely done for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone and nothing else. Okay, having said that, last day Abu Bakr Siddiq was, so he continued to be sick for 15 days, and then on the last day of his illness was Monday the 22nd of Jumada al-Akhirah, 13th year after Hijrah. Aisha radiallahu anha relates that Abu Bakr radiallahu anha asked on the last day that on which day Rasulullah died. And it was mentioned that it was a Monday. And that was his last day as well, and the Monday was getting close to be ending. And he wished, see, this is how much he wanted to follow Rasulullah, which is not in his control. This is his just wish. Rasulullah passed away Monday, he wished that he also passes away on Monday. Rasulullah passed away when he was 63 years old. Allah destined him to die at the age of 63 as well. And then look at the kind of how much they love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that they want to follow him even on that thing, that they wish that even they die on the same day as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. SubhanAllah. And these are not under your control things. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that they did not follow Rasulullah for other things. Yeah? It's not that superficial things only that you talk about. For example, you only talk about the kind of item that you put on, or the kind of clothes that you put on, the kufi, or the imama, and these things. And then when it comes to the actions that Rasulullah did and he expected from us, for those actions you put on the side, you talk about, no, I'm following the sunnah of Rasulullah. So, for example, what's happening, let's not put this on the side. We don't want to talk about that. But we want to talk about the color of the clothes that Rasulullah liked, or the meat that he liked, or whether he liked squash or not, and how he was looking for squash within the shofar. Look, all these things are good to be followed. And the Sahaba did follow to the extent as well. But that did not took them away to follow the path of Rasulullah for other things as well. So whether it was their social dealing, economic dealing, their ruling system or judiciary, all those things they follow Rasulullah. Hence we better be the ones who want to follow Rasulullah as a whole, not be the one who are picking and choosing in the life of Rasulullah. And that's what we see Abu Bakr, that even to that extent he wants to wish that he would die on Monday. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him his last day was the Monday as well. And then he asked him, what was Rasulullah enshrouded in? And it was said that there's a shroud, which is a Yemeni garment, Sahuli, there's the one that he was, that the kafan was made up of that, let's put it this way, of three sheets. And the response of Abu Bakr was, bury me in the clothes that I am in. SubhanAllah, he does not even want to have new clothes. He did not even want to have new clothes as a kafan for him. And Sahaba said, we have wealth, we can do this. And his response was, no, make this use of new clothes and stuff for the one who are living. I will be buried. It will be underground. So this is how Abu Bakr was so concerned even after his death about the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was assigned to this task. Now, the last command Abu Bakr Siddiq gave were there were two commands. One, he said that his wife Asma bint Umais radiallahu anha is the one who should give him the ghusl after he passes away. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well, because I know there's a lot of people that have confusion about this aspect of it. And then he said he should be buried alongside Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the last words of Abu Bakr were tawaffani musliman wa alhiqni bis-salihin, that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cause me die as a Muslim, the one submitting to the will of Allah, and to join me with the righteous. Look, a person who was given a glad tiding of Jannah by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, he is still worried about himself. He is still making dua to Allah Azza wa Jal for that. They had a yaqeen, what Rasulullah said is true. But the dua is another way of getting hasanat as well. Dua is an act of ibadah. Okay? And now talking about the first part, before we go in there, Asma bint Umais, if you remember, she was the widow of Ja'far bin Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. And Abu Bakr made the widow of Ja'far bin Abi Talib. And when Abu Bakr passed away, this widow, Asma bint Umais, was married to Ali bin Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. Now you can get some idea of the silliness that we hear about the conflict between Shia and the Sunnis today, and how they refer to the Sahaba as if they were up against each other or something. They were not. And this is why I especially want to keep the address of Ali ibn Abi Talib above Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. Okay? They had a very loving relationship with each other. Having disagreement with each other does not take away the love of a believer for the other. You can have ikhtilaf, that's not a problem at all. Ikhtilaf based on the Quran and Sunnah is a valid thing to have. But that does not create dislike or hatred or grudges for each other. Okay, this is a very important thing for us to learn about and keep in our mind, especially when we're learning about the lives of these great heroes like Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali. Okay. Now, when Abu Bakr passed away, it's mentioned as if that the Medina was literally trembled on the day Abu Bakr passed away. And it was the saddest day after the passing away of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? And the people in Medina, you can see the tears were flowing from the eyes of the people in Medina in general on that day. Now, some few more things about the burial and the funeral. This is a scholarly consensus. He passed away at the age of 63, which was the same age as the age of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. By the way, Umar bin Khattab also passed away at the age of 63 as well. As per his instruction, his body was washed by Asma bint Umais. Now, In general, it's scholarly opinions are about this. The husband can wipe the body of the wife, and the wife can wash the body of the husband. Okay, it is allowed, and this is because the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that talks about one time Aisha was talking about her headache, and Rasulullah said, "If you die, I will pray the janazah for you. I'll do the ghusl and I'll do the janazah for you." So that's a sign that it is allowed. This is where the fuqaha extracted. Now, Ahnaf in general, they disagree with this. They have an opinion. Hanafi opinion about that it is not allowed. For that, they say is because once the death happens, the contract of marriage is nullified. Hence, it's not mahram for both of them to do this task. While the consensus of Sahaba is about this, because when Abu Bakr said this and Asma bint Umayyah washed, there was no problem. When Fatima radiallahu anha, the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, passed away, and she requested Ali to wash the body of Fatima, and Ali did. And there was no issue among the Sahaba about that either. So hence, I am just mentioning you, in general, the scholarly opinion is in this direction, but there are, and by the way, the opinions are not on this that if there is nobody available, then the husband can do the wife or wife can do the husband. Rather, even if they are available, people are available, for example, women are available to wash the body of the wife, even then the husband can wash, and vice versa. Okay? Now, but see the point I was trying to make, ikhtilaf is there, and if somebody is following the ikhtilaf, that's okay. That's not a big deal. But there is strong enough evidence for the other side, the one they say washing is allowed, and it should be taken as allowed. Now, whoever follows whichever opinion, that's between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, it's not an obligation in any sense, so it doesn't really make much of a difference, right? Okay. And then Abu Bakr was buried next to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and in a manner that his head was aligned with the shoulder of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So he was a little bit lower in the sense of the way he was buried. And during the burial, Uthman, Umar, Uthman, Talha, and Abdurrahman are the one who descended. Abdurrahman bin Abu Bakr. They descended in the grave to place the body of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. And the funeral prayer was led by Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu. Remember I was talking about that these aim, the imams, the khulafa, or even the walis, you will see if we get time inshallah to talk about these kind of positions in Islam as well, you find that they were well versed in Islam as well. They were not just the ones who will go and run the affairs of the people but have no knowledge about Islam at all. No, they were well versed in Islam as well. So they are the ones who are leading these kind of prayers. Nowadays it's almost becoming a norm that, if somebody dies or something, you're just looking for an imam of the masjid. Or you're looking for some special shaykh who will come and do the prayers and these kind of things. And same thing goes for that even, for example, if somebody wants to get married. Also with a kitab to be done, the aqd nikah to be done, you're looking for some shaykh or somebody who will come and do it. It should be done by the parents themselves. Father shouldn't be doing it. Or the brother should be doing it. These other people should be doing it. They're the ones who should be leading the janazas also. Imagine that. And I want you guys all, especially, mashallah, you guys are all young, right? Especially the guys here. You should know how to lead the salatul janazah. If any of your father, grandfather, or your mother, anybody dies, the dua that's coming from your heart is different than somebody who just, that's his job to just go and lead the prayer. So we should be doing these things of our own. Okay? To learn about it. If you don't know the rulings about it, learn about the rulings about this. It's not that difficult. And don't we want to be present for our own parents to make the dua for them? Or we want just some random person to come and make the dua and we are over with it? Even though the fard will be taken care. Don't take me wrong that I'm saying that they cannot do it, it's not allowed or something. But we should be capable as well. Yeah. Okay. Now when we talk about this, so throughout the early years of Islam, Abu Bakr was a source of comfort and constant help for Rasulullah. This is his thing to remember. And he's always willing to sacrifice his wealth and his life, whatsoever he had. And then when Rasulullah passed away, Abu Bakr continued from where he left off. Okay? And I want to just make a point, so we'll inshallah start Umar ibn Khattav's life, we get some idea about this. You remember when Abu Bakr took the office, Umar was one of the people who was trying to prevent Abu Bakr to continue the battle against the Murtadeen, for example, or against the Romans, that Usama bin Zayd's army should be sent or not. We see that when Abu Bakr passed away, Umar continued the very next day. With the armies that were sent for Iraq, he continued following up with them, and he wanted to continue to the point that he wanted to even reshuffle the leadership over there at that time. So this is how, see how much of a change Umar had over the time when Abu Bakr was ruling. And that's what Abu Bakr was talking about when Talha bin Ubaidullah was saying that, are you leaving, what are you going to say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, that you left Umar behind you over us, a harsh person, a tough person over us. And one of the things Abu Bakr said was, when the burden of this leadership will fall on his shoulders, he will soften up. And we see that how Umar ibn Khattab changed after that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with Abu Bakr and reward him with the best of the reward to Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. Now, quickly going over about Ali's address. So when Abu Bakr passed away, Ali came to Abu Bakr's house where he passed away, and he stood outside and he delivered this bit of a long, I don't want to say a lecture as I'm talking for past 30 minutes or so. It's not like that. But what he said was long in the sense of, he covered pretty much everything that you can think of when you talk about what Ali thought of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. SubhanAllah, look at him saying, "O Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, may Allah have mercy upon you. You were the closest companion and friend of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You were a comfort for him. You were the one he trusted the most. If he had a secret, he would tell it to you. And if he needed to consult someone regarding a matter, he would consult you. You were the first of your people to embrace Islam, and you were the most sincere of them in your faith." Look at these words. Where do you see that Ali did not accept Abu Bakr as the Khalifa? How do you see that there is any kind of a grudge going on between the Sahaba Ridwanullah alayhim? This is a point that he's giving full, and he's making the dua from his heart, and he's accepting that he was the best among them. And he was the closest among Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then he says, your faith was stronger than any other person's, as was the degree to which you feared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you were wealthier than anyone else in terms of what you acquired from the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's not talking about the worldly wealth only. How close he was to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how indulged he was in the deen of Allah azza wa jalla. He was the wealthiest in that regards. And then he says, you cared most for both the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Messenger of Allah and Islam. Of all people, you were the best companion to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You possess the best qualities. You had the best path. You ranked the highest. You were the closest to him. And of all people, you resemble Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam the most in terms of his guidance and demeanor. Your ranking was higher than anyone else's. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the honor, the Prophet honored you and held you in the higher esteem than anyone else. On behalf of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Islam, may Allah reward you with the best of rewards. When people disbelieved the Messenger of Allah, you believed in him. Throughout his life, you were both his eyes with which he saw and his ears with which he heard. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has named you truthful in his book when he said, وَالَّذِي جَاءَ بِالصِّدْقِ وَصَدَقَ بِهِ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُتَّقُونَ. And he, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who has brought the truth, the Quran, and those who believe therein, believe of Islamic monotheism, those are muttaqun. And this is referring to Abu Bakr Siddiq is included in those muttaqun. When people were stingy in their support, Rasulullah, Messenger of Allah, you comforted him. And when people sat still, you still side by side with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Facing the same hardships that he faced in terms of hardships, you were truly good and noble companion of his. You were the second of two, his companion in the cave and the one upon whom as-sakina, peace, tranquility descended. You were his companion during the migration of Medina. Look, Abu Ali recognized this part also. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has referred in the Quran as the two in the two who were in the cave of the Thawr. The two were mentioned as Abu Bakr and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when the Sahib was mentioned of Rasulullah was mentioned about Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. Abu Bakr Siddiq had hinted multiple places in the Quran, and Ali recognized that radiallahu anhu. And he went on, as you can see, that he accepted Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu as the Khalifa, as the best among the Sahaba radiallahu alayhim in all the cases, and the closest to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And about his Khilafah also, he's talking like this: the weak and humble you have always treated as strong and honorable, making sure you gave them what you rightfully theirs. And in this regard, you have treated relatives and strangers equally. Of all people, you respect those who are most obedient to Allah and who fear Him the most. In your overall character, you embody truth and compassion. Your speech has always been characterized by the qualities of wisdom and decisiveness, and you have always struck a noble balance between the gentleness and firmness. You have always based your decisions on the knowledge, and once you have made your decisions, you have always kept a firm resolve to execute it. Verily, to Allah do we belong. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We are pleased with you, and we submit to Allah's decree. And then the people, they all agreed with whatever Ali radiallahu anh said about Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh, and they all cried and raised voices, and they all responded. When was Ali's speech saying, "Indeed, you have spoken the truth," meaning Sadaqta Ali. Whatever Ali said about Abu Bakr Siddiq. Now imagine this, and then look at the kind of garbage is out there, unfortunately. This is why it's very important for us to equip ourselves with the knowledge, with our own history, written by the right people also, not the Orientalists, the one who probably hate Islam, and they're looking for some sort of a division within the Ummah. Okay. So that's all I had for Abu Bakr's talk. This is the Arabic talk of this. If anybody's interested.